We're back with another episode from Black Widow Deer Lures podcast. I'm here with the owner, Andy Bogolski, and myself, John McPherson. And today we're going to talk about mock scrapes. If you guys tuned in the last couple podcasts, we kind of went over some of the products that we had, the differences on them. And so today we're going to start diving into more of different tips and tricks and things to do in the field. And today is going to be all about mock scrapes. So I guess generally, first off, we're going to start with, what are you going to grab and take out to the field with you?
Well, what I grab to take in the field to make a complete scrape. I can't say that word. It's not a half.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but I would take scrape beads.
All right.
Last weeks, I would take branch butter. I would have that over the scrape. First of all, you have to find an appropriate place for the scrape that has a licking branch that looks like it's going to be. Yeah, you usually usually can tell where they would like to scrape, and let's backtrack a little bit.
Well, the first before you go, if your goal is to do a mock scrape, you kind of just figure out what you're going to take with you.
All right.
Then we'll find out exactly where we're going to put it. Now, before I go in the field, I want to put all this stuff in my book bag. What am I putting in my book bag?
Beads, branch butter, snap caps, interdigital and tarsal.
Yeah.
I would have Scrape Master lure, and I would have a scrape rope.
Scrape rope. So
scrape rope goes on the end of the branch there with the wire, wraps right around like that. You can put it where you want it.
So here's your grocery list of the tools you need to do it.
Actually, we have a package, ultimate scrape package. It doesn't have the rope, but it has the beads, branch butter, has one each of the packs of snap caps. It has Scrape Master and the dominant buck.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. That's it.
So you can go to blackwidowdeerlures.com, and if you look for the ultimate scrape package, you'll see all of these products, and then all you would have to add in addition to the ultimate scrape package would be the scrape rope, because the scrape rope is new this year. It's not included in the package. We just released it, and it's live on the website as we speak. So now you got all this stuff that's in your pack. Where are we going?
Well, first of all, you got to go where the deer wants to be. Mm-hmm. Too many people out there, they put their tree stand. They see a tree. They go, "Oh, that's a great tree." I don't look for the tree first. I look for the spot first. You have to have the spot where the deer want to make that scrape, where they'll be traveling. You know, you can have the best tree around. If it's in a dead area, what good is it?
Right.
You have to have where the deer want to be, and the deer usually have a reason why they want to be there. Be it slight terrain, slight heightened terrain. I had one time I had deer. I couldn't understand why the deer kept walking in this 10-foot area, and not there, until I got the elevation.
Right.
And it was like 2 feet higher. But so subtle
that you couldn't even recognize it.
You couldn't even recognize it with your eyes.
Right.
You know, and they liked it. It was maybe just a little firmer.
Right.
And you got to go where they want to be. It's like our property up in Ohio, John. We were up there the first time we stepped on that property, and it was fall time already.
Yeah.
So we were late, and walking down along that field, we were doing a few things. You can sit there and look. I look down along the field edge. I said, I bet you 100 yards ahead. I go, I bet you there's a scrape underneath that branch. And I look down about another 50, 100 yards past. I go, I bet you there's one there.
Yeah.
Because it was so perfect.
Yeah.
It was so perfect. You know, you had a little oak tree, and the branch was hanging out just a perfect height, you know, maybe 4.5, 5 feet off the ground. And it was out 5 feet into the field.
Yeah.
I mean, it was hanging way nice. I go, gotta be. We walked up there and what?
Oh, yeah. Yep. Sure was. And actually, we filmed that. You can actually see that on the Widowmaker show. That is the episode where Janice kills a nice buck. So the B-roll, the beginning to kind of lay out the storyline is we were out there, and it was the first time we had gone out there, and I was filming Andy picking out where these scrapes would be, and sure enough, we would go up there, and
9 times out of 10.
Yep, he said that's where one will be. We walked up, there was another one. So, and it was kind of cool. We got all of that on film, and actually led into the buck that Janice killed. So that was a great visual aid. So if you guys want to check out Widowmaker's TV show, and it's on Hunt Channel, My Outdoors TV, soon to be on Gen 7, as well as you can see some of it on our YouTube channel. And if you guys are listening to this podcast being streamed, you can also see the video of this podcast on the YouTube channel as well at Black Widow Deer Lures. So you figure out where they want to be. You pick out
where they want to be. And deer are creatures of habit. They like edges, and it doesn't have to be an edge of a field. I mean, that's pretty easy.
Right.
That's pretty easy, finding the edge of the field and looking down 200 yards and looking and seeing these different branches hanging out, going right there. Right. That's easy. But there's edges in the woods too. There's edges, logging roads. They like to walk a logging road. They'll walk a logging road for old logging road. They'll walk an old logging road for 30, 40 yards and then cut off and, head where they're going.
Yep.
The deer are creatures of, they're kind of lazy too, like we are.
The easiest path they
path.
can go. Yeah. Least resistance.
I had a clover field, and they used to come out feeding all the time. And just talking, getting off the subject and just talking about how lazy they, deer used to come from the bedding area, come out. So what did I do? It would get mid shin, high shin, almost to your knee high, clover. I take the lawn tractor, and the direction they wanted to come, I would have 3 rows cut, just 4 foot wide, and they would all angle right and come together right out in front of me, 30 yards, 40 yards out in front of me. And you know what? They'd follow. When they're traveling, they just walk
right through,
right down the dang trail. So you can adjust it a little bit that way. But back to the logging roads. I mean, you look for the logging roads. A lot of times you can see where the old scrapes were. You can see the licking branch nipped off from the year before. Edges like that, edges of thick cover and open woods. They like to see. When they're doing that, they want to be able to see, because they're preoccupied. And they want to be able to see if danger's coming, if a yote or whatever is coming. So that's what I look for.
Yeah. So we locate where we want to put our scrape, and then as we approach it, where are you going to start? You're going to start with,
first of all,
are you going to take any tools with it? I mean,
oh yes, yeah. Everybody always.
So you got to really be prepared. Like if you guys are going out to do a mock scrape,
be prepared.
You kind of, you need to know that you're going to do this. You're not going to fly by the seat of your pants. You kind of had to have a game plan before you head out.
I like, if your wife, I like to garden. So
right.
I've got these little garden rakes that are, 4 foot long handles,
right.
But they got a hoe on the one side that's maybe 4 inches wide, and the other side has like 3 or 4 tines.
Right.
Just for inside your garden. I take that with me. It's a great tool. I can get in there. I can clean the area out, scrape it real good. You're not down there touching it. You're not grabbing a branch and trying to kick it out. And then that's the biggest thing people do. They use a branch. They kick it out, and then they throw it over there, 15, 20. Do you think the buck doesn't walk around and all of a sudden he's going to say,
that branch with
man, I can see, they can smell that from 5 days earlier.
Oh, yeah. And I know our good friend Ben from Whitetail Edge, he did a video for Booner School that we sponsored, and that was one of the things he said. He said, don't throw the dang stick out in the woods.
Take it with you. At least go 100 or 150 yards and then toss it. You know.
There you go. So using a rake is a great way to do it, and just and usually just, I guess when you're doing a scrape, I like to do it not from the approach side where the buck's actually coming from. I generally like to get to one side or the other.
I want to do it to where I can get to my stand.
Yeah.
And I don't want my stand. Because you're trying to figure out where the deer is coming from. If that deer is coming, I don't want him walking right towards my stand.
Right.
I mean, you and me, John, set on our property up there. We got 15, 16 tree stands. Right. You can have the best tree in the world, but if you got a major run right here and they're walking right towards the tree within 5 yards of the trail, it's like, that's a no-go.
Yeah.
You know, you want to be off the trail. You want to be off 15, 20 yards off because, hey, a buck's walking, his head down, up like that, and he's going to sit there. You even burp the wrong way, he's going to go, don't look right up at you. I mean, deer are different now than when I started hunting back in 1969 or so.
Oh, you're telling on yourself again.
Yeah. Put it this way. Back then, you used to be able to take a big spike, pound it into an oak tree, and use that to get up to the first crotch, which is about 8 feet, and you'd hunt from there with our recurve bows. There was no such thing as compound. There was no such thing as aluminum arrows or graphite arrows.
Right.
We had wood, and we killed bucks all the time. But the deer are different now. The deer tend to look up more.
Yeah.
And they've learned it. You know,
Absolutely.
back in those days, back in the 60s, there was no commercial that I knew of, commercial tree stands being made.
No,
There's nothing.
I don't think it really started becoming popular until the
mid-70s.
80s.
Late 70s.
Yeah, I was thinking because it was about the 80s when I remember the first real tree shows and things like that were starting on VHS, and people were starting to film. I mean, because growing up here in the South, I don't know how it was in the North, but here in the South, it was all running deer dogs, deer hounds, and nobody used tree stands. There was no such thing.
I'm from the North
as steel hunting, right? So yeah, so when it started becoming, started getting into the 80s is when, I guess mid to late 80s, when we actually starting to see tree stands, and for us running hounds and stuff, we're like, why you want to be in a tree?
Well, put it this way.
So things changed a lot down here.
This is true, and I was just a little young, but they're talking back in the mid 60s. I was born in 57, but I used to tag along and hang out, but my brothers must have been on a cutting edge because we used to hunt out of trees, and up in western New York, down in Allegheny County, western New York, and you go down there, they used to hunt out of trees, all the other camps in the whole area, and it was actually Coyle Hill game, 2,000 acres thing out there, and they thought my brothers were nuts, and then they saw them sitting in trees with shotguns with short barrels that they cut off themselves with scopes on them. And a bunch of them got in arguments saying, you can't put a scope on, you dumb kids, because that shotgun will shake it to pieces.
Yeah.
It's like, my brother goes, you put that scope on a 375 H&H Magnum, don't you? Guy looked at him and said,
kicks like a mule, yeah.
But back then, all them old guys, they all had bird guns. They had no, they got 28-inch improved cylinders or modified chokes, and they put some dum-dums in there, and boom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, the location. You got to have, wherever you're going to put your tree stand, you're going to have to be able to get to it and not cross the trail that the deer are coming in to hit the scrape.
Yeah.
I mean, because You're defeating the purpose if that's
So
the
essentially,
case.
you're looking for where the deer want to be. You put up your scrape, and then at that point, that's when you kind of figure out where you're going to put your stand. Not so much, this is the tree I want to hunt. I'm going to bring the scrape to me. So that's a little different tactic. So you're talking about finding where they want to be, find the edge, find where they like to travel, starting your mock scrape, and then after that, when you start figuring out which way they're approaching and such, that's when you're going to start picking out your location.
Oh yeah, I mean it's one thing you don't want to do is be walking to your tree stand and walking across the trail that the deer are coming in on.
Right.
I mean, all you're doing is telling them, "Hey, here I am, man.
Yep,
here I
we're
am. Thanks for coming to the party." Maybe a spiker or a forkhorn might say, "Whoa, okay."
Oh yeah.
But 3.5, 4.5-year-old buck's gonna say,
Yep.
I'm done. I'm out of here." But easy in, easy out. Be off the trails. If you're hunting the field edges, which I love to hunt field edges, I love it. More than anything, I can see where they are. I can call them. I like bottlenecks, and we've got a stand called a hedgerow stand. It's not really a hedgerow; it's a 25-yard wide woods.
Yeah.
Little thick,
Yeah.
little thorn apples in
Little
it, and stuff
finger,
like that.
little finger,
And it connects to one block of woods to a creek bottom 400 yards away.
Yep.
So they can walk the edge or they can walk right up through that middle. And so we got it, the whole thing covered. And but look for the correct tree branches. And again, don't say, I found that tree. That tree's a great tree. I'm going to make the deer come to me.
Right.
75, 80% of the time, you're fighting a losing battle.
Right.
Because there's a reason why they're not there. Be it terrain, be it they're unsafe, be it something simple as the direction of the wind, or we've got the one tree stand there that what we call a hedgerow stand. The wind can come directly west, which cuts right along the edge of the hill, right in our faces. If it's not blowing 8 to 10 miles an hour, it's a no. It's a no. You can't have it.
Right.
Because what happens is the wind will blow right in our face, but we're right on the corner of the backside of the hill. It swirls around and goes right back up the hill.
Yeah.
So you have to have 8 to 10 mile an hour wind blowing, get your scent out of there.
Yeah, because if it's just like kind of waffling in there, then
we're
you're
done.
busted.
We're
busted.
done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so it's all location. I mean, it's a
Okay.
great spot, but you have to have wind for it.
Right.
And I don't like 2-3 mile an hour winds. I like 8, 10. I want my wind in and out.
Yeah, and then it brings us back to your tools. You're using your garden tool that you like to use to scrape it, or a stick. Let's say if you found one, but you're not gonna throw it in the woods and leave it in the woods. Then once you prepare it, that's when we start putting in the black-wooded deer lures.
Once I do that, I use the beads, Scrape Master beads.
Mm-hmm.
This is a 6-ounce jar. About a 2 ounce of this would be sufficient to
Yep.
put in the scrape.
Yeah, so the 6 ounce will do, we say 3 to 4. 3 to 4 scrapes. So if you want to do several, the 6 ounce jar is a perfect choice. If you're just going into one particular location and you just want to do one scrape, then a 2 ounce jar will definitely do the trick.
Mm-hmm. And then what I do after I put that in there, and again, gloves. And another thing, know what you're going to do when you get there. And be as efficient as you possibly can. Get in,
Yep.
do it, get out.
Don't spend
time looking around
afternoon
and playing
walking
around. And this is, I might get a bad email, but
Yeah.
this is, if you want it to be a good scrape, got to take kids hunting in the woods.
Yeah.
But if you want to
Get
show
them
them how,
exposed
if
to
you
the
want to show
outdoors.
them how to make a scrape, the kids and stuff, make it where you might not expect to see deer.
Right. And you could have like kid-friendly areas, kind of like what we were talking about before. You want to show them how to do it. You want to include them in it. But there's a certain age, I believe, that that when they still want to kind of play and grab sticks,
while
and
they're
throw
picking sticks and they're throwing stuff, and they sit on the ground. They put their knees down.
Yeah, and so that's a tremendous amount of extra scent in the area. And again, like I said, we always encourage, take your kids out, take them out in the woods. However, I've done it myself where I've got some friends that have some young kids that want to get out in the outdoors, and I've taken them to field edges that I don't even really plan on hunting, and I'll go out there and I'll show them how to make a mock scrape, let them put the products out, let them do it, and and it's just not in an area where they can actually end up, leaving so much extra scent by playing and throwing things around and just being kids. That's what they do. They're out there enjoying themselves as well. But like I said, it's get in as stealthy as possible, as scent free as possible. You're going to leave some scent, but like we were talking before in a previous podcast,
and get out as fast as you can.
Get in there, get out, do what you got to do. Lay out your game plan. Go in, do your scrape, put your products out, and get out of there. Don't lay the bag on the ground, your book bag that you carried the stuff in with.
Don't kneel down.
Don't kneel down. Yeah, you're trying to, like I said, you're trying to get in there, do what you got to do, put your snap caps in there, and then your branch butter, the preorbital and forehead gland on a licking branch above.
Licking branch, or you can also put
your scrape rope.
Scrape rope in there.
Yeah, so go ahead and throw that stuff on there. But have a game plan that okay, I'm going to start here. You might like to do the scrape rope first and put it on there, and then start doing your scrape and put your beads and your caps before you leave. Or you like to do it the other way around.
Should be.
But have a game plan.
Very efficient. You should be able to know, okay, I'm going in there, and I want to be out of there in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You go there, rake it real quick, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Get the scrape rope on it. That takes about a minute for those two. Get some of the beads in there. Get the snap caps in. Get the scrape rope doctored up. You can take a little bit of scrape master, spray it around a little bit, and get out of there.
Get out. Because the longer you stay there, again, we shed. We shed, skin
hair,
cells.
we shed
hair,
skin
everything.
cells.
So the longer
you're breathing.
Yeah, the longer you're sitting there, the longer you are leaving scent.
More scent.
Yep.
So get in, get out, and always look where they want to be. And overhanging branch, especially if it's a multiple overhanging branch, like a whole limb that's hanging out like that, especially 4, 5, 6 feet out, right along the edge of a field like that, they love it.
Oh, yeah.
They love it.
And we've done, and Andy's done so many different techniques. We're definitely going to cover some more in a future podcast. He's transplanted trees before. We've used, he's used a pocket knife to score a branch, drop it down a little better so it can be in a better spot, as well as now that we got a scrape rope, you can actually hang that from a little higher branch than you normally would. So there's different tactics we're definitely going to cover in some future podcasts. But for right now, just covering the basics of getting out there, getting your mock scrape started. These are the great products to use. Again, you can go to our website, blackwidowdeerlures.com. Look for the Ultimate Scrape Package, and then also make sure you grab the brand new scrape rope that got released this year at the ATA.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And just want to touch, you mentioned the scoring the branch. A lot of people might not know what you're talking about. Basically, if I see a branch and it's a good spot, but the branch is a foot high.
Yeah, too high. Yep.
And I'll take a knife and I'll score about a third of the way through the branch, leaving the branch still alive, and I'll bend it, and it'll fold that branch down.
That perfect area. And it still stays alive.
It stays alive.
Yeah, because the ones that we've done before, they still have leaves on them. They just, he just dropped it down just enough to get it in kind of that prime spot where they like it. So then we'll cover a lot of those again. If you guys are listening to this on the live streaming, you can also go watch the video on YouTube, and be sure to check back on some of our previous podcasts where we go over all of our lures, the line of lures, the difference between the gold label and the red label, the history of black widow deer lures, and check out for our next podcast where we're going to start talking about, we touched on making a mock scrape. Now we're going to talk about getting in and doctoring up existing scrapes and a couple different tactics. So stay tuned for the next one, and we appreciate you guys listening.
Thank you, and look us up at blackwidowdeerlures.com.